And what is your position there?
Currently assigned to the Criminal Investigation Bureau.
And I'm going to draw your attention back to December of 2009. Did you work for the Tempe Police Department at that time as well?
Yes, I did.
And what was your position then?
At that point in time, I was a patrol officer.
Now, so I'm going to draw your your attention specifically to the date of December 9th, 2009. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
And were you working the afternoon shift?
Yes, I was.
Were you dispatched to the location of 790 East Southern in Tempe?
Yes, I was.
What was the nature of that call?
It was a call of it was a female disturbing inside the store.
And when you went to that, did you immediately go to that location upon receiving call out?
Yes, I did.
And was that around 1842 hours?
Yes.
And is that 6:42 p.m.?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, when you arrived at that store, did you arrive alone or were there other officers there?
There were other officers there.
Okay, what officers were there if you recall?
I refer my reports. Get their names correct.
If that will refresh your memory, please let us know when your memories refresh.
Okay.
Okay, which officers were there?
Officer Payne and Officer Travis Smith.
And when you arrived at the location, what did you observe immediately?
Officer Smith was speaking to a female.
And did you get any information, was this the female that was in question?
Yes.
Okay, did you learn that through your investigation that day?
Yes.
Okay. Now you said that Officer Smith was speaking to her. Did you at some point speak to her as well?
Yes, briefly.
Okay, did you ask her what was going on essentially?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what did she state?
She stated, I believe she was there to look for her son, Gabriel.
Okay, did she state that her ex-boyfriend, Logan McQuarrie, had the child and she wanted the child back?
Yes.
All right. Now, once she gave you that information, did Officer Smith continue speaking with her?
I believe he did, yes.
All right. And did you take action then by speaking with Logan McQuarrie?
Yes, I did.
All right. And where was he located, if you recall?
I believe he was in the back store employee room.
And when you spoke with him there, did you, without telling us what he said, did you obtain information from him about what had occurred that day?
Yes, I did.
And when you got that information, what did you do next?
Went back to where Officer Smith was interviewing the female.
Okay, could you just speak up just a little bit?
Yes, I went back to where Officer Smith was.
Okay. And was he still speaking with Miss Johnson at that time?
Yes, he was.
Now, during that time, did Miss Johnson indicate that there was a previous incident to her being there where Logan had taken the child?
Yes, she did.
Okay, and did she indicate that an officer by the name of Officer Williams had been involved in that incident?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Did you do any verification as to whether or not there was a call out to which Officer Williams responded?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and was there one?
Yes, there was a call the previous day.
Okay, and would that have been December 8th, 2009?
Yes.
Now, during this time, was Miss Johnson telling you about the events of the day and the previous day?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And at some point, did you confront her about her statements?
Yes, I did.
And why did you do that?
Because they were inconsistent with what the premise history showed for her address.
Okay. However, did she maintain that Logan McQuarrie had taken the child and she did not know the whereabouts of the child?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And did this cause further investigation into the location of the whereabouts of Gabriel Johnson?
Yes, it did.
Specifically, what did you do to try to find the whereabouts of Gabriel Johnson that day?
Myself and Officer Payne obtained consent to search her vehicle and her residence.
Okay, and once you obtained the consent to search, just for explanation for the jury, basically you asked her, is it okay if we look in your car and at your house?
Yes, that's correct.
And she said it was okay?
Yes.
All right. Once you obtained that consent, did you in fact look in her car?
Yes, we did.
And was the child there?
No.
Did you look in her home?
Yes,
And is that the home located on Priest Drive?
that's correct.
All right, and was the baby found there?
No.
Did you conduct any further follow-up investigation?
I contacted her, it was her brother, via telephone.
All right, and was there any information leading to where Gabriel Johnson was from what he told you?
No, it was not.
After you went to her car, went out to her home, and contacted her brother, did you advise other investigators of the information you had collected?
I advised the supervisor on the scene.
Okay, and was that Sergeant Kepler?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And once you advised him of the information you obtained, did you have any further involvement that day?
No, I did not.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
No questions, Judge, thank you.
All right, before we let Detective Jones step down, does the jury have any questions for him? Doesn't look like it. May this witness be excused. Ms. Romano?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Victor?
Yes, Judge.
You may step down. Thank you. Proceed when you're ready.
Could you please state your full name for the record and spell your last name?
Phil Amezquit, Amezquit.
And who are you employed by?
City of Tempe.
And what is your current position there?
I'm a police officer. Patrol.
All right. And what shift do you typically work?
Evenings.
Evening shift. Now I'm going to draw your attention back to the date of, well, how long have you been employed by Tempe Police Department?
Over 15 years.
And has your position always been patrol officer during that time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What other positions have you held in the department?
I was a detective for the department for about 4.5 years, and I was a member of the department's action team, which is a community-based team.
Okay. What does the action team do?
We identify problems within the city and basically attack that problem until the problem goes away.
All right. I'm going to draw your attention to December of 2009. What was your position at that time?
I was a patrol officer.
And do you recall what shift you were working during that time frame as well?
It was evenings. I'm not exactly sure of the hours.
Okay. Specifically, I'm going to draw your attention to the date of December 9th, 2009. Do you recall working that specific day?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were working that specific day, did you receive a dispatch to the 99-cent only store?
I did.
Okay. And is that located at 790 East Southern?
It is.
Right. What was the nature of that dispatch?
Subject disturbing.
When you heard that call out, was that around 1841 hours?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that 6:41 p.m.?
It is.
All right. What did you do when you heard that call out?
I responded to assist other officers.
Okay. And what other officers did you assist?
Officer Jones and Officer Smith.
When you went to that location, tell us what happened.
I met up with Officer Jones, who was interviewing a female subject.
Okay. And did she later come to be identified as Elizabeth Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And what happened then?
I learned that there was a disturbance in the back office area of the business. So I responded to that location to interview Logan Mercury.
And when you went to that back office area, where was Mr. McQuarrie?
Inside the main office area of the business.
And while in the main office area, did you speak with him?
I did.
And did you obtain information from him about what had occurred that day?
I did.
Once you obtained that information from him, what did you do then?
I again spoke to Officer. I spoke to the manager on duty as well.
Okay, is that a person by the name of Amir El-Fadli?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And after you spoke with Mr. El-Fadli, what did you do?
I returned to Officer Jones and Officer Smith to speak with them.
And were they still speaking with Miss Johnson at that time?
They were.
Now, while they were speaking with her, did you become involved in the conversation as well?
I actually learned that she was from, I don't know if it was Officer Jones or Officer Smith, that she was now reporting that her child was missing.
Okay, did you hear her say those things herself?
After I later spoke with her, yes.
Okay. So originally you learned from Officer Jones and Smith, and then you spoke with her at some point?
I did.
Okay. And she indicated to you that her son was missing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did she state that Mr. McQuarrie had taken the child?
She did.
And was she steadfast in that he had taken the child and she did not know where the child was?
She was steadfast in the fact that she did not know where her child was.
Now, when she gave you that information, did you go to speak to Mr. McQuarrie again?
I did. I re-interviewed him.
All right, because obviously she's saying Mr. McQuarrie has the child,
Of
correct?
course.
And you need to follow up on that.
Of course.
All right, so did you speak with him in detail about the events that had occurred over the day or two previous?
I'm sorry.
Did you speak with him about the day or two previous?
I did.
Okay. And after you obtained that information from him, did you obtain additional information?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was that regarding his family?
It was.
Specifically, what did you ask him to give you?
Phone numbers, addresses, anything I could find out about his family members to see if we could locate the child.
Okay. And was that your purpose in getting that information from him?
To
see
get
if they had the child?
Correct.
Okay. And is that based on what Miss Johnson was alleging?
Yes, it was.
All right. Do you recall approximately how many family members' information you received that day?
I do not. I know it was at least the father and the grandmother.
Okay. And did you do any specific follow-up with those individuals, or did you relay the information to somebody else?
I relayed him to my supervisor at the time, who was at that point spearheading the investigation.
Okay. And was that Sergeant Kepler?
It was.
Now, are you aware of whether or not that follow-up was conducted?
Yes, it was completed, yes.
It was completed. And after a search of Logan McQuarrie's family members, was the child found?
No, child wasn't okay.
Did you also conduct record checks on Elizabeth Johnson's family members?
I did.
Did you receive contact information for a Tammy Smith and a Ray Baker?
I did.
Okay, and did you attempt to follow up on that information?
I did.
All right, when you attempted to contact Tammy Smith, were you able to make contact with anyone?
No, I was not.
Okay, and did that number come back to a company named Charlene Waters Colonics?
I believe so. I'd have to refer to my report, but
Okay.
it's something similar to that, yes.
If referring to your report would refresh your memory, please do so and let us know when your memory is refreshed.
Okay. It was Charlene's Water Colonics, correct.
All right, and when you attempted to call Ray Baker, who was Ray Baker identified as? Do you recall?
I do not. It was an unknown female who answered the phone, and they were less than helpful with police.
Okay. Did they hang up on you?
They did eventually.
Now, at some point, where was this follow-up conducted from? Were you remaining at the scene following up on it?
We remained at the scene. First, when Miss Johnson was originally interviewed, it was like in a hallway area on the west side of the store. We eventually moved the investigation to like a back storeroom, where we ended up continuing our investigation, speaking with her there.
Okay. And at some point, did Miss Johnson leave the scene?
When we were done with our investigation there at the scene.
Okay. She returned to her residence?
She did.
And later during that investigation, did the investigation continue, however, even though she went home?
The investigation still is going to continue. We called out our Criminal Investigations Bureau, who sent a couple of detectives out to continue the investigation.
Okay. Was one of those Detective Aguilera?
Aguilera? Yes.
Yes. Okay. And at some point, did you learn that Detective Aguilera had located the whereabouts of the child?
I was informed, yes.
Okay. And was the child located with Logan McQuarrie or any of his family members?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
No question, Judge, thank you.
Does the jury have any questions for Officer Amezquit before we let him go? Going once, going twice. May this witness be excused, Ms. Ramuno?
Alicia, what do you currently do for a living?
I currently work as a licensed clinician for Southwest Behavioral Health, providing mental behavioral health counseling for children.
And how long have you worked for Southwest Behavioral Health?
Since March of 2011
And prior to working there, where were you employed?
with Child Protective Services.
And Child Protective Services, is that also referred to as CPS?
Yes.
What was your role when you worked for Child Protective Services?
I was an investigator.
And what does an investigator do?
We are the ones who receive the initial reports from the hotline and are assigned to go out and to interview the persons involved in the report to ascertain whether or not abuse or neglect is occurring.
And how long did you do that for CPS?
For nearly 3 years.
Tell us, you mentioned the hotline. Tell us a little bit about what the hotline is and how that works.
The hotline is also referred to as the central intake unit. Basically, when anyone has a concern about abuse or neglect that's occurring, they will contact the hotline and basically give information to the hotline regarding what their concerns are. The hotline at that point in time decides whether or not there's enough information to generate a report. Once that report is generated, then it is sent to the various units based on zip code.
What type of training did you receive as an investigator?
I received approximately 6 weeks of training from our general training regarding how to ascertain abuse or neglect, testifying. I also did a 40-hour forensic interviewing training in addition to that 6-week training that I had completed.
And the forensic interviewing training, what is that exactly?
It's to assist investigators in making sure that the questions they're asking aren't leading questions, helping them to interact with children in a way that the children would be able to provide the information without being coerced or coaxed.
And so was it part of your duties as an investigator to talk to people involved and question them about what's going on?
Yes.
And did that sometimes also include talking to children?
Yes.
When you were an investigator, did you ever write a report regarding your investigation?
Yes, each time we had an investigation, we had to complete a report regarding all of the interviews that we conducted, times, dates, all the information that we were able to gather during that interview.
I'm going to take your attention to December of 2009. In that time period when you were an investigator, did you receive a report involving Elizabeth Johnson, Logan McQuarrie, and Gabriel Johnson?
Yes.
And about what time did you receive that report? About what date?
I received that report on December 10th.
And at the time you received that report, were you then assigned to investigate?
Yes.
And what was the first thing you did in regard to the investigation?
The first thing that we have to do in regards to the investigation is contact the source of the report.
And at some point during that time period, did you have contact with Logan McQuarrie?
Yes, I did.
Was that in person or on the telephone?
That was on the telephone.
And when you talked to Logan McQuarrie on the telephone, did you make an appointment to speak with him in person?
Yes, I did. I had received the report on the 10th, but had a certain time frame to respond to it. So I spoke with Logan on the 11th of December. He was unavailable at that time for an in-person, and so I arranged to meet with him on the 14th.
And do you know why he was unavailable for an in-person on the 11th?
He was heading to the family court to file for custody of Gabriel.
On December 11th, 2009, did you have any contact with anybody else in regard to this investigation?
Yes, I did. I went to Elizabeth Johnson's home.
And about what time did you go to Elizabeth Johnson's home on that day?
It was approximately 1:30.
And when you went to the home, when you arrived, were you able to go in and talk with her immediately?
No, actually, when I had arrived at the home, she asked me to wait outside. She was selling her dogs to a couple that had been there.
And so did you in fact wait outside?
I did.
And when you were waiting outside, did you see anybody leave the home at that time?
The only individuals that left the home were the individuals who she was selling the dogs to.
And did they take any dogs with them?
Yes.
Do you recall how many?
I don't.
And at some point in time that day, did you get to have a conversation with Elizabeth Johnson?
Yes, following the departure of the individuals who purchased the dogs, she invited me into the home.
And when you talked to Elizabeth Johnson, did you talk to her in general about some allegations that she'd given Gabriel up for adoption?
Yes, I did.
When you talked to Elizabeth Johnson about the adoption, what did she tell you?
She informed me that everything was legal.
And when you say that she informed you that everything was legal, what was she referring to specifically?
To the adoption, she had indicated that she had dropped Gabriel off with a couple, the Smith couple, and that they were They had a private attorney in which they were taking care of the adoption paperwork.
And during this time that you had a conversation with Elizabeth Johnson, did you have any conversation with her at all about the father's wishes in regard to adoption?
I did. I questioned as to how the adoption could occur without the father's consent.
And what did Elizabeth tell you?
She informed me that he had completely abandoned them and that she could proceed just based on that.
And at the time that you were talking to Elizabeth Johnson, were you aware about the custody proceedings that Logan was filing?
Yes.
Did you have any conversation with Elizabeth Johnson about those custody proceedings?
I had indicated that he was going to family court.
And did Elizabeth respond at all to that?
Not that I can recall.
During your conversation with Elizabeth Johnson, what was her demeanor?
Initially, she was very shocked at the allegations that were contained in the CPS report. She was very calm and collected throughout it, did not appear to be grieving the loss of her 7-month-old son that she had informed me she was giving up for adoption.
At the time you were talking to Elizabeth on December 11, 2009, did she ever provide you any paperwork, such as guardianship paperwork that she had signed with the Smiths?
No.
At the time that you talked to her on this date, did you see Gabriel?
I did not.
Did you ask her specifically where Gabriel was?
I did.
And what did she tell you?
She indicated that he was placed with the Smith family.
Now, did Elizabeth, give you any ability to contact the Smith family?
Yes, I informed her that because she was unable to produce any legal paperwork regarding the adoption, that for my information, the child was still under her custody and that I would need to see.
And at some point in time, did you contact the Smith family?
I did. I believe that I contacted them on the 14th following my interview with Logan McQuarrie.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and then go to the 14th. You indicated you met with Logan McQuarrie on that day?
I did.
About what time did you meet with Logan McQuarrie on December 14th, 2009?
Approximately 9 o'clock in the morning.
And so you had some conversation with Logan, and then you indicated that you believe you talked to the Smith family after that?
Yes. Upon returning to the CPS office, I had contacted the number that was provided to me. No one answered that number. It was a business line. I left a message and then contacted Elizabeth to follow up to see if I had the correct number for the Smith family.
And did you ever have any contact then with anybody from the Smith family?
Yes, following my conversation with Elizabeth Johnson, Tammy Smith contacted me and informed me that she was merely babysitting the child and that she would be at Elizabeth's home later that afternoon so that I could go and visit with the child.
And so this is still December 14, 2009, when Tammy Smith said she was merely babysitting the child?
Correct.
Did Tammy Smith provide you with any information as to how long she'd had Gabriel?
No, I don't believe that she had at that point.
Did you have any indication at that time as to how long she had had Gabriel Johnson?
The indication that I had was that she had had him for a couple of days.
Now, did you get that from Elizabeth or Tammy?
Yes.
On December 14, 2009, then, did you have any contact with Elizabeth Johnson, Tammy Smith, and Gabriel Johnson?
Yes, at approximately 1:30, I had arranged to go out to the home. At the home was Elizabeth Johnson, Tammy Smith, and Gabriel Johnson.
And whose home was this?
This was Elizabeth's home.
And where was the home that you were having the contact with Elizabeth Johnson?
It was in Tempe.
And what type of residence was it?
It was a trailer home.
And so when you had contact with the three of them, did you have any conversation with Elizabeth Johnson?
I did. I had returned to the home and had confronted Elizabeth. In the phone call that I had with Elizabeth prior to arranging to meet with her, she had indicated to me that she had changed her mind about the adoption and that she was going to take the baby back. when I went to the home and was with her in person, I confronted her regarding this, and she had adamantly recanted that she had ever indicated to me that she was going to give the baby up for adoption.
Where was Tammy Smith when you were having this conversation with Elizabeth Johnson?
We were all sitting at the kitchen table.
And did Tammy Smith say anything about the adoption at that point?
Not that I recall.
And where was Gabriel?
Gabriel was also in the home. The trailer home had kind of like a great room, so the kitchen, living room, dining room area was all in one large room, and he was in that room as well.
And did you check Gabriel to make sure he seemed okay?
Yes, I did.
And did he?
Yes.
So while you were confronting Elizabeth Johnson, did she tell you anything else than what you've already told us?
Not that I can recall.
So at this point in time, Elizabeth Johnson was denying that she had ever decided to give Gabriel up for adoption.
Correct. I had inquired as to why I would have that information if she hadn't provided it to me, and she seemed baffled as to why I would suggest that she was giving him up for adoption.
Now, did you have any conversation with Tammy Smith and her role in the custody proceedings?
I had informed Tammy Smith that she did not have a role in the custody proceedings and that this was something that needed to be handled in the family court.
Is there anything else that we haven't already covered that either Elizabeth Johnson or Tammy Smith told you in your contacts with them?
Not that I can recall.
When I'm assuming at some point on December 14, 2009, you left Elizabeth Johnson's home.
Yes.
When you left the home, what was your understanding of where Gabriel would remain?
It was my understanding that he would be remaining with Elizabeth.
Did you have any indication at all that Gabriel Johnson would go back with the Smiths and live with the Smiths?
I did not.
You talked about Elizabeth Johnson. Do you see that person in the courtroom?
Yes.
Would you please indicate where she's sitting and what she's wearing?
She is sitting over there. I believe she has on a tan shirt. I can't totally see.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
It shall so reflect.
At the point in time when you left the home on December 14th, 2009, did you have any other contact with Logan McQuarrie?
Yes, he had contacted me later to inform me about the
Objection, hearsay.
Make sure you don't communicate. Well, I don't think it's going to call for a hearsay statement based on what I think she's going to say. So you can answer the question.
He had informed me about the upcoming family court date.
And so you were aware that the family court proceedings were actually occurring?
Yes,
And did you then close out your case at the time?
I did.
And what does it take in order for you to either keep a case open or to decide it's okay to close it out?
Both parents have to be unwilling to provide for the safety of the child. In general terms, when a family court is involved, CPS does not come in because they're different jurisdictions.
Does CPS have any involvement at all in family court proceedings?
Not generally.
Are you familiar at all with parenting conferences that occur in family court proceedings?
Yes.
Tell us what those are.
A parenting conference is basically where the parents are going, and I believe it is not in front of a judge, but they discuss the custody issues that they're seeking for in family court.
So is there someone assigned to investigate those issues?
Yes.
And it's not CPS?
Correct.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Richter.
Briefly, Judge, thank you. Ma'am, just to be clear, you closed the investigation, right?
Correct.
And you had a finding that the allegations were unsubstantiated. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Did your findings regarding the allegations being unsubstantiated have anything to do with the custody issues?
No.
No further questions, thank you.
Thank you. Does the jury have any questions for Ms. Shumway before you let her go? Does it look like it? May this witness, Mr. Victor?
Okay.
You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Andrews, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name's Frank McQuarrie.
And Mr. McQuarrie, what do you do for a living?
I'm a retired police officer. I currently work for the city as a reserve officer.
And what city is that?
City of Phoenix.
And is that the same city you worked for when you were working as a police officer?
Yes,
How many years did you work for the Phoenix Police Department?
20.
And what type of role did you work as a police officer?
I was a patrol officer for 15 years, and then I worked as a detective on the bomb squad for 5.
And what's the POM squad?
The bomb squad?
Oh, the bomb squad.
B-O-M-B, sorry.
So you detected bomb situations?
Yes,
And you indicated you were retired. When did you retire?
2007.
And you're a reserve officer. What does a reserve officer do?
A reserve officer does everything that any other certified paid by the city police officer does. We just volunteer our time. We're not employed. We receive no funds.
Is there any benefit from being a reserve officer?
For me, there is. It allows me to work at construction sites, directing traffic, things like that. Then when they need an officer to do that, and then I am paid by the construction people.
Is that considered off-duty work for police officers?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family? Tell us first about your kids.
Well, I have 4, Jennifer, Logan, Trenton, and Nicole.
Who is the oldest?
Jennifer is the oldest.
And who's the youngest?
Nicole is the youngest.
And where do the other 2 fit in between?
Logan is second oldest, and then Trenton.
Tell us about who else is in your family.
Jennifer has 2 children of her own. Nicole has 1. Here in town, we have my deceased wife's mother, her brother Mike, her sister Kathy, her sister Sandy's here in the courtroom today. My girlfriend Jamie, her 2 kids, my brother, his wife, their kids, and my other brother lives up by Roosevelt Lake.
So you have a lot of family here in town.
Yes.
Does your family engage in family gatherings?
Yes.
What type of family gatherings does your family have?
We celebrate birthdays, the holidays, Thanksgiving, depending upon who's there. The big holidays, we can have 30, 35 people there.
At some point in time, did you meet a person by the name of Elizabeth Johnson?
Yes.
Do you recall generally the time frame where you first met her?
It's around 2006, 2007, somewhere around there.
And what were the circumstances in which you met her?
She was dating my son Logan.
And do you see Elizabeth Johnson in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you please tell us where she's sitting and describe what she's wearing?
She's sitting at the defendant's table, and she's behind the monitor, so I can't really see. But looks like a brown dress, maybe.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
It shall so reflect.
During the time that Elizabeth Johnson and Logan McQuarrie were in a relationship, what was their relationship like?
They had good days, bad days. Like everybody else, they got along well, and then they had arguments.
And what was your relationship like with Elizabeth Johnson?
I don't think Elizabeth liked me very well. We never had a very good relationship.
Did you, assuming at some point in time you learned that Logan and Elizabeth were going to have a baby.
Yes.
Do you recall how it is you learned that?
Logan told me.
And what was his demeanor when he told you about having a baby?
He appeared to be proud. He was sitting on the couch at his grandmother's, and he had a smile, and his face just had that I'm proud look.
And at some point in time, in May 3rd, 2009, Gabriel Johnson was born.
Yes.
Did you see Gabriel at the hospital
Yes, I did.
when he was born?
Yes.
And when you saw Gabriel at the hospital, did you see Logan there at the hospital?
Yes.
And what did you observe between Logan and Gabriel there at the hospital?
Logan was holding him, talking to him. I took pictures. He seemed to be a happy, proud father.
And what name was Gabriel given, his full name?
Gabriel Scott Johnson.
And what's your middle name?
Scott.
What's Logan's middle name?
Scott.
After Gabriel was born, did you have other times where you got to see Logan and Gabriel together?
Yes, I did.
About how often did you see Logan and Gabriel together?
Not as often as I would have liked with my relationship with Elizabeth. Probably once a month.
And when you saw Logan and Gabriel together, where would you generally see them?
At his grandma's retirement place, and then at their apartment.
Did you ever see Logan and Gabriel at any family gatherings?
No.
During the time that you saw Logan and Gabriel together, who took care of Gabriel?
Logan did.
And what did he do specifically to take care of Gabriel?
He would change his diapers, change his clothes. I didn't. He would feed him, give him a bath, all those things.
Were there ever any times after Gabriel was born that you or other family members took care of Gabriel?
Yes.
Who would take care of Gabriel?
During that time, I helped take care of him. My girlfriend Jamie helped take care of him, and her daughter Jordan.
And were there any other family members available to help if need be?
Yes, his Aunt Kathy used to babysit for them when they needed a babysitter.
At some point in time, we've heard testimony that Gabriel went to daycare. Was there ever a time in which you picked Gabriel up from daycare?
Yes,
Did that happen one time or more than one time?
just once.
And the time that you picked up Gabriel from daycare, was the daycare aware that you were coming? Were they surprised to see you?
No,
Did you have to identify yourself as a police officer to be able to take Gabriel?
no,
Did they know you were taking him that day?
yes.
On that day, was there an argument that had occurred between Logan and Elizabeth?
On that day, I don't know if there was an argument that had occurred between them that started that. I don't know.
But regardless, you picked up Gabriel.
Yes.
Okay. Was there a time period around then? Well, what happened after you picked up Gabriel that day?
I took him back to their apartment where I met Logan. And then from there, my girlfriend Jamie came to meet me, and I had her take Gabriel back to our house.
And were there any allegations that you took Gabriel and you weren't supposed to take him?
Yes.
And what were those allegations?
Logan and I were accused of kidnapping Gabriel by Elizabeth.
And after that time, did Gabriel Logan stay with you for any period of time?
They did.
And how long did they stay with you?
Approximately 10 days, or right around there, 2 weeks, not very long.
So after the accusation, did you have to return Gabriel to Elizabeth Johnson at that time?
No.
And was that prior to December 8th, 2009?
Yes.
Do you recall about when it was?
I want to say that was in September, I believe.
2009?
Yes.
I want to take your attention to December 8th, 2009. Did you see Logan on that day?
I did.
And on that day, where did you see Logan?
He was at his grandmother's retirement home.
Do you recall about what time of day that was?
It was nighttime, probably 9, 10 o'clock.
And on that day, by the time you saw Logan, did you see Gabriel with him?
No.
And when you saw Logan at his grandmother's house, why did you go to the grandmother's house?
I went to pick him up.
And on that day, without telling me what was said, did you have any conversation with Logan about what had occurred that day?
I did.
And on December 9th, 2009, did you have occasion to go to the 99-cent store where Logan worked?
I did.
Would you tell us what happened in regard to that?
I showed up at the 99-cent store.
Let me take you back. Before you showed up there, did you just show up out of the blue, or was there a reason you showed up?
Logan called me.
Okay. And after Logan called you, you went to the 99-cent store.
Yes.
And what happened when you got there?
I arrived there. Elizabeth was there. Members of the Tempe Police Department were there. There was Gabriel was not there. During that time, the officers were talking with Elizabeth and Logan and trying to locate Gabriel.
And did the officers speak to you about locating Gabriel?
Yes.
And what specifically did they want to know from you?
They wanted to know if I knew where Gabriel was, if we had him at our house. I told them no, that the reason that I was there was because Logan had called me, and I had driven over there to so I could speak with them about what was going on.
And during that time frame on December 9th, 2009, were you or your family investigated in regard to where Gabriel was?
Yes.
And how was your family investigated, to your knowledge?
I spoke with the officers. The Tempe officers had Gilbert PD officers go to the house to make sure that Gabriel wasn't there. We were telling them the truth. And then we stayed, Logan and I, there for 4 or 5 hours while they did their investigation.
And during the time that you were there at the 99-cent store, did you have the opportunity to observe Elizabeth Johnson at all?
I did.
And what did you observe?
She was appeared to be angry. She was tapping, standing, arms folded, tapping her foot. Her conversations with the officers were belligerent, I guess is a good word. And it just went downhill from there.
And you indicated you were there about 4 or 5 hours, I believe?
Yes.
And so was it still December 9th when you left, or into the morning hours of December 10th?
It was into the morning hours. It was after midnight when we left.
Did you at some point learn that the police had located Gabriel?
Yes.
Did the police tell you, or to your knowledge, tell Logan where specifically Gabriel had been?
No, they refused.
But did you learn that he was safe?
Yes.
After the incident on December 9th, going into the hours of December 10th, without telling me what the conversation was, did you and Logan have a conversation regarding custody and adoption?
Yes.
And based on that conversation, what did you and Logan do?
We went to court and filed paperwork for custody of Gabriel.
And was that December 11th, 2009?
Yes.
Prior to filing for custody on December 11th, 2009, had you ever heard the name Tammy and Jack Smith?
No.
Prior to filing for custody on December 11th, 2009, were you aware of Elizabeth Johnson's intentions to have Gabriel adopted?
No.
Between December 11th and a custody hearing on December 17th, 2009, did you personally have any information about Elizabeth wanting to have Gabriel adopted, or hear anything about Tammy or Jack Smith?
Trying to sort the dates.
Between the time you filed for custody and the custody hearing itself, if you recall.
No,
And then on December 17, 2009, did you attend a custody hearing with Logan?
yes,
And on that date, did you see Gabriel Johnson at all?
no,
Did you see Elizabeth Johnson?
yes.
Where did you see Elizabeth Johnson that day?
In the court and then outside in front of the court along Washington.
And when you saw Elizabeth outside the court, was that before or after the hearing?
After.
And when you saw Elizabeth, what else did you see?
She was speaking with someone that I later learned was Tammy Smith.
And at the time you saw them speaking, did you know who the woman was?
No,
And during that time, did you ever see anybody that you might have later learned was Jack Smith?
no, I don't, I'm not sure that that I did.
You're not sure if you saw
Right.
him that day. And you stated already you never saw Gabriel that day.
Right.
At the time of the custody hearing, we've heard testimony that there were some orders regarding Logan having custody. Were you aware of those orders?
Yes,
Were you in the courtroom to hear those orders?
yes.
When you left the courtroom that day, did you have items at your home to be able to take Gabriel and have him live with you for half the week at a time?
Yes,
Did you have to go out and purchase any items?
we did.
And when did you go do that?
Prior, some things we had purchased prior to that, other things we purchased after that to make sure that we had everything that we needed.
So you went out and purchased some items for Gabriel after the court hearing?
Yes,
At some point in time, around December 18th, 2009, did you have a conversation with Logan?
I did.
And then on December 20th, 2009, did you go with Logan to Elizabeth Johnson's trailer?
Yes, I did.
Prior to going with Logan to the trailer, what had you decided needed to be done when you went out there?
Well, I didn't, because of what had occurred at the 99-cent store, I didn't want to run the risk of confrontation and he said, she said things with the police being called. So I gave him a tape recorder, told him to start taping every conversation, every phone call, and had him turn the tape recorder on and walk up to the front door with it on.
And is this a recorder you already had, or did you have to purchase it for this purpose?
It's one that I already had.
And what happened when you and Logan went to the trailer on December 20th, 2009?
Nobody came to the door.
And did you look around the home to see if you could see anybody?
Yes.
And what did you see?
It appeared that Elizabeth was gone. Things that would have been hers were gone, and looked like somebody else was there.
Like somebody else was there?
Yes.
What is it that made you think that somebody else was there?
Logan had a conversation with neighbor next door about somebody else being there.
Was there anything you personally observed other than that conversation?
No.
What happened after December 20th, 2009 when you went to the trailer and didn't locate Elizabeth or Gabriel?
We started trying to figure out where she had gone to, and then we returned to court the following business day.
When you said you tried to figure out where she had gone to, what did you do specifically?
We started looking on the computer, started calling her grandfather, calling her brother, trying to see if they had any idea where she had gone.
What types of things did you look for on the computer?
Based on her past history, You can get on the computer and you can do telephone number searches. They'll give you an area code, things like that, where a phone is registered to, I guess, and gives you a general location. Like here in Maricopa County, and in the Phoenix area, you've got the 623 numbers, the 602, the 480, and those generally are registered to a specific part of the valley. 480 is east side, 623 west side. We started doing things like that, trying to get an idea of where she had gone.
Is that something any regular person could do, look up on the computer?
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have to be a police officer to do that?
No, that's all public information.
Did you use any of the Phoenix Police Department's resources to do anything like that?
No.
Was there any contact made to the police on December 20th, 2009?
Not by me.
To your knowledge, was there any contact made to the police on that day?
I believe Logan made a phone call, yes.
And then what happened on December 21st, 2009?
We returned to court to inform the judge that Elizabeth had not turned Gabriel over to us.
And what happened that day at court?
The judge issued orders giving Logan custody temporarily and ordering Elizabeth to appear in court again.
Now in a minute we're going to go to December 27th, 2009, but I want to talk about this time period between December 21st, 2009 and December 27th, 2009. Did you, at some point in time, learn the name of the Smiths?
Yes.
And do you recall how it is you learned that?
I don't really recall where the Smith name came. It came off of a phone number, and then from the phone number, I was able to look up through the county recorder's office for houses. You can look up transactions for people buying homes, and that's how we got to the Smiths.
And during the time you found out about the Smiths, you talked about a phone number. Were there any attempts to talk to the Smiths?
Logan did finally decide that he was going to call that phone number and see who answered and see if they could tell us anything.
Okay. Now, without telling me about any conversation, did Logan talk to you about the conversations he had with the Smiths?
Yes.
Did he record those conversations?
Yes.
Did he play any of those conversations for you?
Some of them, yes.
Okay. Did you listen to those conversations in their entirety?
The ones that yes.
The ones that he played for you?
The ones that he played for me.
Okay, but as far as you know, do you know if you've listened to every conversation the Smiths had with Logan and vice versa?
I don't think that I did. I think that I only listened to the ones that he believed were important for me to listen to.
Now, other than finding the Smiths, between December 18th, 2009 and December 27th, 2009, did you and Logan do anything else to try and find Gabriel?
We did.
What did you do?
We continued that search. We continued staying in contact with her grandfather, with her brother, and at one point there, based upon information from the Smiths, we obtained a phone number for Elizabeth.
Now, after the court issued the order on December 21st, 2009, were the police able to help you locate Elizabeth from that point on? Before the December 27th, 2009?
No.
Let's go to December 27th, 2009. What do you recall on that day?
On that day, I was at Logan's grandmother's, and he called me and asked me where I was and said that he needed to talk to me right away.
And how did he sound? What was his voice like?
Serious and quiet. He needed to talk to me.
And did you talk to him on the telephone at that point?
I did, told him where I was, and he said he'd be right there.
And then did you actually meet with him in person?
I did.
And when you saw him that day, what did you see as far as his demeanor?
He was, appeared to be, his face was quiet. He appeared to be kind of shrunken in on himself, which is how he gets when he's concerned about something.
And at the time that you saw Logan, did he play for you any recordings?
He did.
And what did you hear on the recording?
I heard a conversation between Logan and Elizabeth.
And what did Elizabeth say in that conversation? What did Elizabeth say in that conversation?
She said that she had killed Gabriel.
And do you recall anything else about that conversation?
Yes, she said she had put him in the trash, put him in a diaper bag, that his face had turned blue, and she put him in the trash.
What did you do after hearing that conversation?
Sent Logan to the Mesa Police Department. Their main station is right behind us. And because of the history of all of this, they told him to go to the Tempe Police Department and speak with them.
And did you join Logan at the Tempe Police Department?
I did. I met him there.
And when you were there at the Tempe Police Department with Logan, did you talk to police officers?
I did.
And during the time you were there, about how long did you and Logan spend with the police on that day?
A long time, hours and hours. I couldn't tell you. I would guess 8 to 10 hours.
Now, from that point on, have you had conversations with the Tempe Police Department or other law enforcement about Gabriel Johnson?
Yes.
Sometime after December 8th, 2009, did you see any photographs of Gabriel?
I did.
Where did you see those photographs?
They were on Tammy Smith's Facebook page.
And how were you able to view those on Tammy Smith's Facebook page?
One of our friends befriended her through that system and was able to gain access to view her Facebook page.
And what did you see in the photographs where you saw Gabriel?
Pictures of Gabriel at Christmas time with Santa Claus and another little girl that I later learned was related to Tammy and Jack.
Now, at this point in time, did you have any plans for Gabriel for Christmas?
Yes, we were supposed to have him through Christmas and then take him back at the end of the day.
And was this his first Christmas?
It was.
Did you or Logan take him to see Santa Claus?
We didn't get the chance to.
When was the last time you saw Gabriel?
Would have been probably early November. My girlfriend and I went to early November at my mother-in-law's care home there.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Victor.
No questions, Judge, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McQuarrie from the jury? Doesn't look like we have any. May this witness be excused, Ms. Andrews? You may step down. Thank you. Ms. Andrews, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Deanne. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Deanne Ayala.
And I poured that glass of water just down for you, so
Thank you.
go ahead and help yourself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family?
I'm married. I have 2 kids. I live here in the Phoenix area,
How long have you lived in the Phoenix area?
about 5.5 years.
When you first moved to Phoenix, did you meet somebody by the name of Tammy Smith?
Yes, I did.
And how is it that you met Tammy Smith?
She was recommended through my natural path.
She was recommended how?
For her professional services through my natural path.
And through working with Tammy Smith through your naturopath, did you eventually become friends?
Yes.
And what types of things did you and Tammy do once you became friends?
Things with our family.
Is that echoing back at you?
Yeah.
I can address that. You're fine, you should be fine.
Okay. Things with our family, getting together, swimming, having dinners. The two of us would go to lunch.
And you talk about your family. Can you tell us a little bit about Tammy's family?
Tammy she was married to Jack, and she had a little girl named Hannah that lived with her. And she also had other children that I did not know that lived, I believe, in Louisiana.
And you talked about Jack. Did you meet Jack?
Yes.
And have you ever met Hannah?
Yes.
What's your husband's name?
Sam.
And so throughout your friendship, did you and Tammy ever talk on the phone?
Yes, frequently.
During your friendship, well, let's take you to about December 2009. Did you have any conversations with Tammy in December 2009 about a baby Gabriel?
Yes.
What is the first conversation you recall having with Tammy? First of all, tell me, how did that first conversation occur? Was it on the telephone or in person?
In December, that was on the telephone. She called me.
Okay. Tell us about that first phone call.
She called me and told me that she had a baby.
And what was your reaction to her saying she had a baby?
I was shocked. I was a little confused because there were other circumstances that had went on prior to that. So I had to have her clarify what baby she was talking about. And she told me it was Elizabeth Johnson's baby, whom she had met at an airport months before. And I hadn't heard about this baby for a number of months. And all of a sudden she has this baby, and she was very excited. And she was at the grocery store buying diapers, formula, and baby supplies.
Now, you had mentioned that there were other circumstances in regard to other babies. Had Tammy looked into adopting other babies?
Yes.
So on this day, you're having a conversation with her, and she's pretty excited. Do you know where she was?
I believe she was at Walmart.
Did she tell you she was there?
Yeah, she had just picked the baby up. It was a very sporadic, random, she said phone call that she got, very unexpected. She had not been in contact with Elizabeth from the time that she had met her originally and till this point. And so she was not prepared at all. So that's why they were at the store getting the baby products.
And you explained that she was excited when she called you. Did you have any conversation with her then about having this baby all of a sudden?
Yes, because she was telling me how all of a sudden, when she clarified that it was this baby and it was the girl from the airport, and all of a sudden I said, well, wait a minute. You just got this baby, and what's happening? And I started kind of questioning her about that. And I did ask about, are you adopting the baby? Are you just, taking the baby? Trying to get more information. Oh no, it's our baby, it's our baby. And she was very excited. And I did ask her, I said, well, you're adopting the baby. What about the father? Is he okay with this? Is this, everybody's gonna sign papers. Oh yeah, everything's on the up and up. And it was kind of a brief, at that moment in the grocery store, it was a brief conversation, but I did say and ask about the adoption and if both parents were on board, because it seemed very odd.
And did she at that time tell you that both parents were on board?
Yes.
Now, did you have any subsequent conversations with Tammy Smith about adopting this particular baby?
At later dates, we did talk about it.
And about how long was the next time you and Tammy talked about the baby?
Within a day or two.
And what happened in that conversation?
In the next couple of conversations, I mean, they were fine. You know, she was just excited about the baby and taking pictures and, you know, telling me about how Hannah was excited to have a baby brother. And I did start to kind of question, you know, what was going on as far as the process, with all of a sudden somebody out of the blue calls you and decides that they're going to just hand over a baby that is now at this point, I believe, 7-8 months old. It just seemed too good to be true. And I started asking her, and she, you know, just kept saying that the father was on board at that particular point.
Now, was there ever a point in your conversation with Tammy Smith where she acknowledged that the father was not on board?
Yes.
And about how long after these first conversations did that occur?
It probably maybe 2 weeks, within 2 weeks.
And during the conversations you had with her when she acknowledged the father was not on board, what did she tell you specifically about her plans in regard to the father not being on board?
That she was going to do whatever she had to do to make sure that he was going to sign those adoption papers.
And did she tell you specifically what that would entail, whatever she needed to do?
She talked about possibly adopting Elizabeth as an adult adoption, so that if they adopted Elizabeth, that way they would have Elizabeth in the house. That way they could, you know, basically it would be a sneaky way of getting Gabriel in the house. They talked about jurisdiction changes.
What do you mean when she said she talked about jurisdiction changes?
Moving Elizabeth out of state.
And for what purpose?
Because if the baby was not a resident of Maricopa County and became a resident of another state, another county, that jurisdiction would then become, you know, another state's issue, and that Logan, because he was not financially capable of, you know, hiring counsel, moving, or doing the necessary means, that he would not travel to get Gabriel.
Now, at some point in time, did you receive a phone call from Tammy where she indicated she was at court?
Yes.
And was that on or about December 14th, 2009?
Yes.
And what happened during that phone call?
It was, Elizabeth she was with Elizabeth and Gabriel, and they were filling some sort of paperwork out, and part of the paperwork process was a paternity affidavit, because Logan and Elizabeth were not married, and they came up with a plan that Elizabeth and Tammy came up with a plan that if they filled out numerous names on the paternity affidavit, it would create a distraction to the courts so that they could try to buy more time in order to get the baby away from Logan.
Now, did Tammy ask you anything specific about the paternity paperwork?
Yes,
What
at
did she
that
ask
time, she asked if she could put my husband's name down on that paternity affidavit.
And did you agree to allow her to do that?
Absolutely not.
Did you have any more conversation with her at this particular time, on this date, when she was talking to you from court about her plan in regard to the custody paperwork?
No. Once she asked, you know, told me that she was at the courthouse with Elizabeth, and she had baby Gabriel with her, and asked that, no. The conversation was brief. I objected and hung up.
Now, your conversations with Tammy Smith about changing jurisdictions, did they happen before this time or after this time?
Before.
Did you also have conversations with Tammy Smith about changing jurisdictions after that time period?
She did talk. Oh, she talked about it quite a bit. So I mean, the whole month of December, once Logan was adamant about not signing it, she was talking about it the whole time. So, yes.
And at some point in time, did you learn from Tammy that Logan was the father?
That he,
That he was the father involved in the custody dispute?
yes.
Okay, so you learned his name?
Yeah, yes, I knew that from the beginning.
Okay. So during these conversations you're having with Tammy about changing jurisdictions, did she talk to you at all about research that she was doing?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about research?
That she had actually contacted I believe it's the attorney that they used in Tennessee for the adoption that they used for Hannah, their daughter. Because Hannah is actually her granddaughter.
So she acknowledged to you that she had adopted Hannah and that she was looking into contacting the attorney who handled that adoption in another state?
She told me that she had contacted that attorney.
Now, we talked about Tammy Smith calling you from a hearing on December 14th, 2009. Did she ever talk to you after that hearing about what Logan's custody rights were?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about Logan's custody rights?
At one point, she acknowledged that he did have custody, that he had one custody of Gabriel.
And do you recall specifically when she indicated that to you?
I don't know the exact date, no. It was later, it was mid to late December.
Now, did Tammy Smith ever talk to you about Elizabeth leaving the state?
After she had already left.
After Elizabeth had left the state?
She had talked to me about changing jurisdiction, but she,
Let me clarify,
Clarify,
because that is
yeah.
a confusing question. You had already talked about Tammy talking about Elizabeth leaving the state in order to change jurisdictions. Did you ever talk to Tammy about Elizabeth after Elizabeth left the state?
yes,
In the conversations that you had with Tammy after Elizabeth left the state, did Tammy talk to you at all again about changing jurisdictions or a plan to get custody at that point?
no, there was no plan at that point, no. Once Elizabeth had left, she didn't say there was a plan.
So after Elizabeth left the state, you didn't talk to Tammy about a plan at all?
No.
During the time after Elizabeth left, did Tammy talk to you about her intentions of getting Gabriel to come home?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
After you found out Elizabeth left the state, did you talk to Tammy about Tammy's intentions of getting Gabriel home?
Yes.
And what was the purpose Tammy wanted Gabriel to come home after Elizabeth left the state?
Because she was hoping that she would get custody of Gabriel.
And at that point, did she acknowledge that Logan had custody rights?
Yes.
Now, at some point in time regarding your conversations with Tammy, did you contact the police?
Yes.
And what was it that caused you to contact the police?
When I saw on all over the news that he was missing, and I saw Tammy and her husband on Nancy Grace and CNN and all of the news channels and all over the place, and all of a sudden it came out that Craig Cherry's name was on that particular paternity affidavit that I was talking about. And Tammy, it turned out that it was Tammy Smith's cousin. And Tammy was, I don't know how that got on there. Elizabeth must have done it. I don't know how that happened. I mean, she was on national TV all over the place. And at that point, I knew that there must be more to the story, and so I called the FBI number that was on the television because I knew that was a complete lie on her part because I knew how it got there because she'd asked me to put my husband's name on the paternity affidavit.
Now, when you contacted the police, did you leave your contact information for them?
No, it was a voice message and I did not.
And at some point in time, did the police contact you?
Yes.
And
Go ahead.
And at the time the police contacted you, did you know how they obtained your contact information since you didn't leave it?
Not until Detective Ramirez told me.
But at the time they called you, you didn't know how they knew how to reach you?
No.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Cross-examination?
Briefly, Judge.
Mr. Richter, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, on 12/17, you testified that you were having a conversation with Tammy Smith. Do you recall that?
Okay.
Over the phone.
Yes.
And you indicated that Tammy Smith and Elizabeth Johnson were making certain plans to do certain things with regard to paternity. Do you remember that?
Yes.
But you don't really know whether or not Elizabeth Johnson was actually involved in that discussion with Tammy Smith, do you?
Correct.
You're just assuming that from things that Tammy Smith had said to you, isn't that right?
I'm assuming that based on the paternity affidavit that was filed under Elizabeth Johnson's name, that she signed her name to.
Right, but you never spoke to Elizabeth Johnson that day on the phone,
No.
right? You only spoke to Tammy Smith.
Correct.
And so you were making assumptions about Elizabeth Johnson being involved in that plan that Tammy Smith was relating to you. Isn't that true?
Sure.
And then also, you talked a little bit about learning from the television that Mr. Cherry's name was put on the affidavit, right?
Correct.
And you said that Tammy Smith was sort of saying that she didn't know how that name got on there, right?
Yes.
And you knew that that was a lie, isn't that true?
Yes.
And the reason you knew it was a lie was because Tammy Smith was trying to get you to put your husband's name on there.
Correct.
And so you knew that Tammy Smith was the reason that Mr. Cherry's name appeared on the affidavit.
Correct.
But you don't know that Elizabeth Johnson had anything to do with that, do you?
No, I don't.
No further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Redirect.
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Does the jury have any questions for Ms. Alba before we let her go? Doesn't look like it. May this witness be excused, Ms. Andrews?